Welcome back to Aussie Wristwatch. I'm Jessica Liley, and today I've got a really fun video for you. In my little series on Rolex and alternatives to look out for, given that no one can get their hands on a Rolex anywhere ever. And I thought I'd have a little bit of fun today, and so we're gonna give you some alternatives to the Chronograph Daytona. Yep. And I, as usual, have a little confession to make. I really didn't know that much about the Daytona. I probably still don't, to be honest with you. And that's because, as some of you have graciously pointed out, I must be so fucking new to watch collecting to have been under a rock about Rolex. Well, yeah, to an extent, yes. But really, it's been because I've had a passion for just a couple of brands, and I've only more recently started to delve into other brands, the watch market in general, where I've now discovered the Daytona and sort of what's going on with that watch and why it's so popular, etc. So, bear with me. The whole point of this channel is me learning and becoming a better, more informed watch enthusiast on my way to being a watch collector. Now, my wrist check today before we get started, because people keep asking for them and I keep forgetting, and I almost just did. I've got my Panerai Luminor Due GMT 45mm on today. The very first Panerai I ever got. It was a gift for a significant birthday. I love this watch. The low profile of this watch is just fantastic. I think they've really nailed the market with the Due. Purists probably don't love it because it's about 50 meters water resistant instead of like 200. I don't know about you guys, but like I keep saying, I'm not taking my Panerais in the ocean anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's roll the intro and get going, shall we? All right, let's go. So, one of the reasons the Daytona, and I'm not saying it's the only reason, but one of the reasons the Daytona is so popular is in part because of Paul Newman and his famed ownership of the Chronograph Daytona that referenced the 6239. Now, as I've said to you before, I'm exceptionally late to this party, and I'm happy to admit it. And, you know, in the process, let's just go on a little adventure and indulge me a little bit. So, there are actually a number of alternatives to the Rolex Daytona. I mean, you just have to Google online and you'll find them, but I thought we'd talk a little bit about those and what I found on that bit of research the other week. So, I'm not gonna, just before we get started, I'm gonna exclude some obvious ones, which we can do a separate video on, I feel, but I wanted to get rid of the Speedy, the Tudor Black Bay, the Breitling Chronograph, Zenith, or even Tag, because they're all fairly expensive in the grand scheme of things, and I think they're the obvious go-to kind of alternatives, and I wanted to do a video on alternatives that were accessible. Now, accessible in the sense of two things. Somewhat more affordable. Now, everyone's version of affordability is on a scale. I get that, and it varies. So I've excluded the ones that are at this part of the scale, and I've kind of stayed a little bit more down this end of the scale. So affordability and availability. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of them are available in store, but most are available in some format online, whether it's secondhand or new, direct from the manufacturer, etc. So, loose criteria, I know, but some criteria anyway. All right, let's get cracking, shall we? So the first one, and these are in no particular order, they're just in the order of how I drafted my script, basically. So the Hamilton Mechanical is the first one. Now, the Hamilton American Classic Intra-Matic Chronograph H. So Hamilton was founded in 1892 in Pennsylvania, so in the US. Now, the watches are produced now in Switzerland, but they're inspired by a mid-century aesthetic of the chronograph style, and there's still a great Panda dial on the market. And the price point is one of the more expensive ones on this list, and it's roughly $3,000. And it's a great alternative with a 40mm dial. It's got a stainless steel case, and it has a contrasting sub-dial and a date window. It's powered by the H31 automatic chronograph movement of the watch, and it offers 60 hours power reserve with a screw down case back and a guaranteed 100 meters water resistance. So it's a pretty cool watch. The next one is probably one of my favorites, and couple of reasons. So first one is it's very affordable and it's very stylish. So that's two reasons, I know. And the third reason is I love this guy's ethos. So this is the Dan Henry 1962 Racing Chronograph. And there's various colors of this. So there's a classic color of black and white, which I think is not available when I went online, but there's other colors that are still available. But the ethos of this watchmaker, and it's a watch collector, and his name is Dan, and I've actually conversed with him on via email, and he's very much about watchmaking and just keeping it real. So he doesn't spend money on marketing. He doesn't, send his watches out to people for reviews. It's just purely user-generated content, and he just loves it. And he does it that way so he can keep the cost of his watches down. Good on you, Dan. Thank you. And the result of that is amazingly beautiful, great quality at their price point watches. So this particular chronograph, not only does it look amazing and it stays true to the racing chronograph ethos, but it's a 39mm stainless steel, and it's got 13.5mm thickness, 20mm lug width, and it's 45.9mm lug to lug. It looks absolutely astonishing with its case back. It's got a Seiko caliber VK63 Mega Quartz movement, or Mecha Quartz movement. It's limited edition, and it's about $270 US. I mean, guys, that's astonishing, right? It's under $500 Australian, 270 US. It's probably what, 380, 400 bucks. I don't know, it varies. God, I miss the days when we were 1 for 1. That short, brief window in about 2011 was brilliant. But they've got an evil panda, a gold and a blue, and it's just a really awesome. I actually really want to buy one of these watches. I've been tempted a number of times when I've been online to just buy it and just do it. But if I had that ethos and I just did that, I would end up with like 50 watches. So I really can't do that. But there's also a really another cool feature with this watch, right? So the screw back has a 3D case back embossed with a Maserati Tipo 60 birdcage automobile. Yeah, it looks fucking awesome. So I think you guys should jump on his website, Dan Henry, and check out all of his watches because they look amazing. I don't own any of them. I'm not getting paid for this. I just am appreciating them from afar. I really will add one to the collection in the not too distant future, I hope. But yeah, it really is. It's not an homage watch, but it's an homage to Daytona and racing watches and a classic chronograph. So check it out. The next one, Seiko X Nanoverse. Okay, it's the SZS-J005 chronograph. Now this is perhaps the closest homage there is in terms of the straight Paul Newman Daytona, because that watch was used as a direct reference for this watch, and it was made in collaboration with Nano Universe, and it featured a reverse panda dial with the date window at 3 o'clock. And the watch has a 40mm steel case with matched brush bracelet. It also contained a polished steel bezel and a tachometer scale, just like the original Paul Newman. The other feature similar to its influence is the recognizable polished pump pushers, which activate the chronograph. Now the main difference between the two, of course, is the Quartz 8T67 movement. which has a 3-year battery life, and it's accurate to about plus or 15 seconds per month. So sure, it's not of the caliber, pardon the pun, of Rolex, but it's not meant to be, because it's priced at around 400 US new, or on the secondary market now in a good nick condition it's about 1,500 bucks, which is a far cry from what the Daytona is worth. The alternative new one instead of the Nano was probably going to be the Seiko Prospect Speed Timer Solar Chronograph. So the reference for that is SSC813P, and it includes 4 new solar chronographs powered by the caliber V192. The K-shape is faithful to the original, but it's 39 millimeters in diameter. The combination of hairline and smooth polishing on the bracelet and the curved sapphire glass bring it up to date. And the new solar chronographs are offered in 4 different dial colors, so white, navy, gold, and black. The dials have a sandblast finish, which ensures the high level of legibility. That's the core characteristic of every Prospects watch. And all 4 watches join the main Prospects collection. It's not a classic, but it's available, and it's about $1,000 in store Australian, so what, $800 US, and it's actually available to buy now. So that's why I threw that one on the list, just in case you're desperate to kind of go down that track. There is one that's available. I'm going to add an Aussie watch to the mix now, which I have reviewed in the past, so I think it should sit on here. Oh, sorry, I reviewed a version of this watch, not this watch in particular. But it's an affordable quartz chronograph, and it's specifically designed for racing enthusiasts, which, you know, to me is what the Daytona ultimately represents. And it's the Panzera Time Master 45 chronograph, and from memory it's actually releasing this month, so it's a brand new addition to their collection. It's scratch-proof sapphire crystal, 100 meter water resistant, 45 millimeter case diameter, so it's a bigger baby, and it's 316L stainless steel case, and it's a Miyota quartz caliber 6S20. So, I mean, if you haven't already, jump onto their website and check it out. You guys know I've reviewed their watch in the past. I really enjoyed it for what it was. They're at a very affordable price point. This one from memory is around the... Ooh, now I've completely hit a blank and forgotten. But it's around, I think, 400. Oh no, I'm going to stuff that up. But I'll correct it in the comments if I've got that wrong. Okay. Next one, and I love these watches. This is one of those brands I discovered when I was just getting onto my Instagram with my watch obsession. And it's the Straton Classic Driver. So, I mean, it would be really remiss to omit these guys from the list because they're so steeped in racing. Like the guy who founded this brand and develops them, he is a racing or car enthusiast, and you can really see that coming out in all of his watch collections, and it's kind of fabulous. I mean, they even sell driving gloves, and I really want a pair because I think they look awesome. I don't know if I could bring myself to drive with them, but I mean, probably. I mean, I think the Porsche would look pretty cool with like some chick sitting behind it with a bright orange driving gloves. People would be really looking at that. Okay, so notwithstanding the fact they have so many watches in their collection and racing inspired watches, let's stick with the classic driver watch here. So it's a Miyota again, and it's a 6S21 quartz movement, and it comes in 6 colors. So it comes in blue, green, red, black, white, and silver. And they are epic. They look so cool. They're a lot of fun, guys. Case again is the 316L stainless steel. It's a 40mm case size, so for me it's on the smaller side, but for most it's probably in the sweet spot. Lug to lug 48mm, case thickness 12.5mm, lug width is 20. As I said, it's the Miyota movement. It's a sapphire crystal with AR coating. The hands are lume on hour minute second hands. Strap comes with a solid link stainless steel bracelet with custom end links, and it's water resistant to 200 meters. And it comes with a warranty of 24 months. Now, that's just, what was that? About 5 different watches as an alternative to the Daytona. And as I said at the start, I'm not talking about, well, actually, forget that. I'm not talking about satisfying the itch that you may have if you really want the Daytona, because let's face it, I don't care what anyone says, you can't buy a watch as an alternative to a watch that you desperately want, because you will never feel satisfied. You have to save for that watch if that's what you really, really want. That's my personal view. But if you like the Daytona but don't necessarily need to satisfy the itch of having the Daytona, I think some of these watches, if you're in a price point of this area, could go a long way to kind of adding something with a bit of flair and a bit of racing cred. Definitely. Like I said, I've omitted the more top end, more expensive brands that could also service that, and I think that's a different video, because I mean, I think it's important to offer up, or for at least for me to discover alternatives other than the obvious ones that I've kind of been aware of or were more aware of. Whereas like a Straton, even the Panzera, or even the Dan Henry, like I had no idea about any of these brands before I started doing this. I, just loved watches, but I hadn't gone out and discovered the world of watches. So that's why I wanted to do this video with this particular list. I also want to hear your thoughts. I know I'm going to hear from the people critiquing me, and that's cool. And I also know I'm going to hear from the people letting me know that they enjoyed the video, and that's also very cool. Let me know if you've got or found some cheaper Daytona alternatives out there that I may have omitted. And again, I haven't done an exhaustive list because the list could go on for at least 20 watches, if not more. But maybe if there's another one you want me to look at for another video. But definitely, cheaper alternatives to the Rolex Daytona. There you go. Thank you as always. Remember to smash the like button, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for the support. Love you guys. Until next time, have fun.